I'm a former prosecutor, and let me give you a little bit of background on what he's going to go through. The frontline prosecutors want to go after this guy. The question is, will Kim Foxx's supervisors allow them to add the additional counts of potentially perjury for lying to the police and any other statutory count that they can throw in there? They generally try to throw as many as they can in there. A preliminary hearing would require the police officer to testify briefly in front of the judge to make sure they got the right defendant, that there's enough evidence to hold over for trial. Generally, that would be kind of a medium mess. So I think they'll go before the grand jury, put a little bit of evidence on, and then go ahead and issue a grand jury indictment on various counts.
All right, every second matters of this broadcast. I'm talking over the liner. We've got William Geen from alleypack.us now joining us, Stuart Rhodes from oathkeepers.org in studio. We're breaking all of this down. What is going to come of this Smollett thing? And here's the thing. We're not sitting here obsessing over Smollett because he's a Hollywood actor or because we're going along with the mainstream news trends. It's because we recognize that this could be the card that is pulled out from the house of cards that makes the whole thing crumble. We already know Democrats engage in provocateur events. They got caught by Project Veritas. We already know they stage hate crimes. Dozens have been exposed in the last 2 years. It goes all the way back to Tawana Browley. So we got a lawyer called in from Chicago, John, we're going to go to in a second. But first, William Geen joins us. He's just joining us right now. William, what is your take on the recent developments here?
What, with the Smollett case?
Yes.
There? Well, you know, I was on a couple days back about the fakehatecrimes.org website, which Monday morning was the first of the news cycle to begin after the Smollett case fell apart and really became exposed for the false flag attempt to create a race war that it was. And fakehatecrimes.org, I don't even know who runs the site, but they've got over 349 different stories up there. And of course, the more recent ones like the Covington case, the one that InfoWars talked a lot about, the attempt to pin the shooting of a 7-year-old black girl in Houston on white supremacists. And what people need to realize is not only is the left/media corporate complex running from one false flag hate crime to the next, but beyond that, what the media is doing on a regular basis, what Hollywood is doing with movies on a regular basis, what the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Defamation League are doing on a regular basis is the exact same tactic. They're trying to invert reality and make it look like Americans, predominantly Americans who are constitutionalists or loyal to or of European descent, are the most violent, dangerous, problematic, enslaving, wife-beating, Indian-killing people on the planet. By the stats, we're amongst the safest next to some of the folks in Asia when it comes to actual crime stats. And if you're looking for crime statistics and violent crime and who's actually dangerous, it's illegal immigrants and people coming from third world nations.
But the reason why it's key to point that out is because the reason why they stage these hate crimes is because they have to stage them. They have to manufacture them to try to perpetuate this narrative that doesn't actually exist in America. Now, John is a lawyer from Chicago. I want to take his call, but I want to explain something here real quick about Chicago. Chicago is a very proud city. I'm from St. Louis. Chicago is a sister city. I travel to Chicago a lot of times. I have a lot of great friends and family in Chicago. I love Chicago. And let me tell you something. When Californians like Jussie Smollett come up into Chicago and think that they can run amok in that city, some punk ass from Santa Rosa, California, some Hollywood actor thinks he can come up in Chicago and try to destroy that city? And I hope the city of Chicago stands united against this scumbag. But let's go to John, a lawyer in Chicago, to get his take on this. John, what do you think is going to be Jussie Smollett's ultimate punishment here, or do you think he'll get off easy?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I'm a former prosecutor, and let me give you a little bit of background on what he's going to go through. He's going to be arraigned on one count. They generally bring one count as a preliminary charge to get him into the system. He'll be arraigned on that one count. He'll enter a plea and not guilty. It's pretty standard. It's a pretty standard procedure. They'll set it out for a preliminary hearing, which he's entitled to, or they'll send it to the grand jury to come back and return the felony count. And at that time, they will add additional counts if they decide to. Mostly, the Cook County prosecutors, felony prosecutors, would love to try this guy. They're all very aggressive. They would like nothing more than to go after him. So the frontline prosecutors want to go after this guy. The question is, will Kim Foxx's supervisors allow them to add the additional counts of potentially perjury for lying to the police and any other statutory count that they can throw in there? They generally try to throw as many as they can in there. A preliminary hearing would require the police officer to testify briefly in front of the judge to make sure they got the right defendant, that there's enough evidence to hold over for trial. Generally, that would be kind of a medium mess. So I think they'll go before the grand jury, put a little bit of evidence on, and then go ahead and issue a grand jury indictment on various counts. Interestingly, though, they did take those witnesses and get them in front of the grand jury quickly and get them under oath so they can't change their stories later. That's why they will take those witnesses in front of the grand jury so that they will be locked in and they can't change their testimony. That means the prosecutors are pretty aggressive. The real question is, will Kim Foxx let her superiors? She did recuse herself for whatever reason. Will they let the superiors file additional felony counts? Now, regarding whether or not you think this is going to go away, I don't like the fact that they charged with disorderly conduct right off the bat as a felony.
Yeah.
Probably, I'd have to look at the statute again. Probably a class 4, which is the lowest felony you can charge.
Which feels like an opening for a plea bargain.
Well, right, and you're looking at a misdemeanor. You're looking at it. A good lawyer, and I'm a criminal defense lawyer. Part of my practice is right now. I would be trying to get that reduced to a misdemeanor disorderly conduct with some restitution and possibly some counseling, maybe mental mental counseling, and they're going to try to put some air and some time under this one and air this thing out so that the media gets off of this, and then eventually a lawyer will come in, work something out with a prosecutor, and you can expect this, in my opinion, to get reduced to a misdemeanor, and that's if he's got no background. A judge would have to consider, but it doesn't minimize what he did. It's just that they have a choice. They can go heavy on him, or they can let this thing kick around for a while, and then they could turn around and let him reduce it to a misdemeanor. They might even give him supervision where it's not even a conviction on his record, some restitution. There are civil penalties for causing the government to expend emergency funds to run these things down, and so that's not dissimilar to the situation out in California with Toronto Broadway. So that's it in a nutshell right there.
Final question. Let me just ask you one more question before we get you off here, and thank you so much for calling in. How much impact does it have on the prosecutors that Jussie made this such a national story?
Well, the rank and file trial prosecutors down to 26 in California, they love publicity cases, and they like hammering people like him. I'm telling you, they've done it to, Congressman Mel Reynolds. I mean, they had no problem locking these people up. It's just a question of whether or not they're going to have a bit in their mouth and they're going to be allowed to do it, or they're going to be told to let this one stretch out, and when no one's paying attention in 12 months, it goes away or gets reduced. It's really just a question. That's what we have to be watching out for.
Yeah, and it looks like
which direction's the prosecutor going in.
Yeah, and there's already stories that are kind of surfacing now that whether they're attempting to distract from this case or not, they could eventually do that. John, thank you so much for calling in today, and you're the great information you just imparted on our audience here. That's just, the InfoWars audience is just incredible, folks. I asked for a lawyer to call in. I get one in 10 minutes, probably like one of the best callers you could even ask for.
From Chicago, former prosecutor.
From Chicago, who just laid out all the facts. Thank you so much, John. God bless you. Stuart, your response? No,
I think he's right. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw the first charge. A misdemeanor was what's in the future for that. But I'm glad they tacked on a second charge of filing a false police report. So hopefully there'll be more to it than that, but he's probably right. And what did you think? It out for months, and then later on it'll be a dismissal.
And remember, we were kind of like tongue in cheek, kind of joking, like, oh, they'll plead insanity, but maybe that's where they go.
Yeah, I think that's his only real defense if he's hammered is to say, hey, look, I've got problems, I'm substance abuse or whatever it is, but I'll agree to counseling. I'm basically mentally ill. Yeah.
Let's get William Geen. Quick 30 seconds, William. We'll get more from you on the other side. What's your response?
I really hope the legal professional rise to this. I'm no attorney, but I could certainly use one to sue my detractors that are doing something similar to what Smollett just tried to do to all Trump supporters. I mean, is there such thing as a class action defamation suit? We know there are people out there who were harmed probably in reaction, physically harmed by people who were operating off of this false information about MAGA hat wearing Trump supporters, yelling MAGA slogans while beating Jussie Smollett. There should be some type of lawsuit somewhere that could be filed by people against Smollett, and if Smollett's employer wants to keep him on board, if they want to stand by him, because last report I saw was Fox was saying 2 days ago they're standing by him.
But that's what I'm saying. This could have become a national issue.
Getting your protein has never been easier with InfoWars Life Protein Bars. Available in delicious chocolate peanut butter and vanilla coconut flavors, these protein bars are the perfect answer for a snack on the go. InfoWars Life Protein Bars are nutrient-packed, portable protein bars for an easy-to-eat and great-tasting meal. Pre- or post-workout fuel alternative. At just 240 calories per bar and 15 grams of protein each, these bars will be your favorite at-hand snack for at home, in the car, at work, or on the go, for getting nutrients easily. High in fiber and nutrients with wholesome ingredients for high-level performance with great taste, such as whey protein and chocolate compounds. These protein bars can help you with the boost you need to reach your goals. Protein-packed and full of fiber and healthy ingredients, InfoWars Life Protein Bars are a can't-miss snack for any InfoWarrior serious about their energy. Try both flavors today at InfoWarsStore.com.